Colton has a pulled muscle in his neck. I was trying to loosen up before football practice today.
Oh no, was his stretching routine not working?
No, his lunges weren't helping.
His jump lunges.
So it was yeah.
Oh, are you guys ready?
Cat, nature's favorite minimalist.
Post this. Yeah.
Cats aren't just animals that happen to live with us. They're walking, purring examples of evolutionary efficiency.
I don't know about that. I feel like my cats are roommates that just don't contribute anything.
They say they're nature's favorite minimalist, cats. Which I get that. I see cats being minimalists, right? Dogs are not. Dogs have tons of toys.
They do. And like the other day I was trying to work with a group of women at my house, and Kevin decided that was the time to bring out all of his worldly possessions.
Have you guys seen this?
Yeah.
Have you guys seen this?
He literally dragged out like 8 of his toys from his toy box.
Oh, wait. I'll be right back. Have you seen this?
It was endearing, but I'm just like, buddy.
Have you seen the owl?
Meanwhile, my cats are just like,
I'll be upstairs if you need me.
No. My cats like will come and just lay on people, and they're like, "Your furniture now."
I think so little of you. You're an inanimate object.
My cats
don't touch me or play with me.
Yeah.
I'm just going
My
to
cats
sleep
give
on you.
0 fucks. Oh man.
Yeah. So.
But yet I'm mentally ill because I have them. Cat ladies get a bad rap.
Well, it's how many cats you have.
I don't have that many cats.
No, you're not anymore.
I'm losing
Father
them.
Time is taking them from you.
Only one.
How's Puck doing?
Puck's great. Puck doesn't know he has one eye. He doesn't know he has one eye until he tries to jump on the counter. And then he's like, oh, fuck, no depth perception.
That's farther than I thought.
I miscalculated that.
Why is the shelf moving as I jump?
Puck was, now that I think about it, Puck was kind of like he was one of the warning signs that like I was not aligned with my previous relationship.
Why is that?
Because when Puck got cancer.
Oh, the cancer thing. Yeah.
The other party was just like, oh, well.
Well, the insurance had lapsed, right?
The insurance had lapsed because he's a loser. And he had put it on his debit card and then had no money in his account.
Oh, so it didn't fund.
So what happens when that happens is you lose your insurance.
Yeah.
And I was not aware that had happened.
Yeah.
So when Puck got cancer, I was like, well, no worries. We got cancer. It's going to cover this. And then it was like, no, it's not.
Oof.
You know how mad I was?
Oh, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
And then for the other person to go, well, we're not spending that money. I go, what's this we shit? We are spending that money.
The idea of how angry you would have been frightens me, and I don't even know the real anger that was there. Just me in my head imagining how angry you might have been.
But it was just the lack of regard for life, and maybe I'm just
what is the limit you would put? Like a financial limit. Like if Stanley had we have insurance with for Stanley, and he's got a cancer rider, so if he had cancer, you can take care of it. But like, how much money and how much are you willing to put that animal through before you go, okay?
I weigh the options. So I was like, it all is going to depend on whether or not he gets a good prognosis from the specialist.
Right.
And so when they did the biopsy, they were like, we think if we get clean margins, he has a 90% chance of living his full life.
And Puck was only like 5 or 6.
Yeah,
Had Puck been like 15 or 16.
That's a different story.
You let it go.
I'm not going to put, because then he's still going to have a couple years.
Right.
But like, I'm not going to put an animal through a crazy surgery like that. Like, I'm not an insane person.
Right.
But Puck was still really young. And I was like, I'm going to give this animal the best chance at a good life.
Yeah.
And he's a good cat. You know what I mean?
Because I think Tracy was telling me she was reading some article or something came out where like how like a majority of people are willing to go into financial debt to save their animal.
I have gone into financial debt to save an animal.
Like they're willing to put on their
Puck.
credit card and not like just let this ride on interest for years to save an animal.
So that happened to me with Fresno, which was a cat that I found when I was on the road with.
I remember Fresno.
Yeah. We only had her for like
I remember
2
Fresno,
months. Yeah. But I got Fresno, and then Fresno, when we were down in San Diego for a baseball game, Fresno started to decline really fast.
Yeah.
And I took her to a vet down there and an emergency vet, and I racked up an insane bill with testing because it was an emergency vet and not a normal vet. And basically the prognosis was like her heart was too big for her body. So like I had to make that call.
Right.
to let her go.
Well, she was never going to have a comfortable life.
No, I mean, she wasn't going to survive. It
Yeah,
didn't
you
matter.
can't shrink her heart.
She was never going to survive. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like eventually, like it was a fatal thing,
Yeah.
you know? So rather than like let her suffer, like I chose to euthanize her. But like, but I ran into debt with that, you know, and it took me a while to get out of it. But I was really smart with all my pets, or at least I considered it smart because I got pet insurance on them.
Yeah.
Pet insurance used to be good. I think if you have a certain amount of savings, pet insurance is an absolute waste of money because pet insurance is really only good for emergencies. So if you're considering getting pet insurance for any of our listeners, pet insurance is good for emergencies. You don't need it for like doctor's appointments and shit like that because like that stuff, it doesn't want to cover a lot.
We have nationwide pet insurance, and
Same.
they get back almost between 80 and 90%.
They just changed their policy though. Check your
When
policy.
did they? Because I just did something. His thing just renewed in June, and we got a 90% back from his last appointment. So I will have to check again.
Yeah. So their policy just changed.
So it was worth it.
Where they don't have like a wellness policy anymore. They got rid of that. It's more like for emergencies or illness. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's what they cover now. But yeah, I had that conversation with Nationwide. But it's just interesting just because pet insurance is just one of those things you think of like as an adult that you're like, you have to weigh the pros and the cons about whether or not it's going to actually help you because it is expensive.
Well, we didn't. Our first dog, Buster, that Tracy and I had, he was like maybe 2 or 3 at the time. And we had him up at, we didn't have pet insurance because I'd had dogs my whole life and never had pet insurance. I was like, why do you have insurance for your dog? Whatever. I didn't think about it. Never had an emergency with any of my dogs.
Yeah.
You just had your dogs. You took
You
them to
don't
the
have
vet
an
to get,
emergency until you have an
yeah.
emergency.
And then you took them to the vet, get shots, and then at some point when they got old, they would die. Like that was how I had dogs as a kid.
Yeah.
Then we had Buster, and we were up at the Runyon Canyon, and a snake goes across the path, like a little tiny snake, little snake, and it jumps up and bites him in the nose.
Jesus.
And the snake slithers away before anybody can see it, and we're like freaking out. I was like, well, is that a fucking poisonous snake, or was it just a garter snake?
Yeah.
And so we're freaking out, and so we take Stanley, we run him over to Studio City, the emergency vet, and this was on a Sunday. This was Easter Sunday, and it was like $1,000 for the doctor to go, no, it's just a bite. He's not. There's no poison in him.
Oh, well,
like,
that's
okay.
good.
Yeah.
That was the best outcome possible.
Right, absolutely.
Do you know they have classes to teach dogs to not fuck with snakes?
Yeah.
That
They
might
train them.
That might be a good idea
might be.
for Stanley.
But we have insurance. So. Now we got insurance after that.
Yeah. That might be a good idea for Stanley.
It might be.
I feel like
I don't let him go anywhere. Like Buster, we were had a little more leeway off the leash. We let him run around. But like Stanley, I keep him close.
Stanley's got a little wily
He's
side
insane.
to him. Oh, speaking of pets, I did a show last night and our vet was in the audience.
Yeah, Dr. Mike.
It's so funny. I think it's so weird when I see people outside of like their natural habitat from where I know them from.
I was sitting in the back of the show, and you had gone off to get ready for the set or whatever, and Dr. Mike walks up to me, and he's staring at me. Like a foot away, just staring at me. I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is this dude fucking staring at me? And I look up, I'm like, and then like literally 15 seconds of me staring at him, I'm like, oh, that's my vet. I'm like,
I'm glad you have face blindness too when you're out of your natural
when it's out of where
environment.
I'm supposed to see him, I was like, who is this guy? He looks familiar. And then you start running faces and backgrounds back and forth. And you're like, which background matches up with this face?
How long do you make small talk before you're like, okay, who the fuck are you?
Hey.
Have you had this happen, Keita? I feel like you have.
I was wondering, are you left-handed, Jen?
The fuck, Keita?
I was just thinking about it.
No, I'm not. I'm right-handed. But when was the
I
last time?
haven't heard a word that you guys... I've been totally checked out, have not thought of a word.
Thanks, Keita.
I'm just thinking about all the different ways I'm being canceled because of that last post.
Really? That'll teach you before you open your mouth on a microphone,
No shit.
won't
No, I've got tape right
So he
next to me
comes in with
right
the
now.
innocuous. Are you left-handed?
He's like,
I'm
only
staying
safe
away-
questions.
Only...
Only safe questions.
And even that's a...
You can't get canceled for something that's on Friends episodes and How I Met Your Mother.
That's scripted.
It doesn't matter. You don't think that happens in real life? Oh, 100%.
I know
but
it
you
happens
weren't-
in real life.
you
I
weren't-
talked about it.
You weren't a high school teacher dating a student. This was
Well, I didn't
college.
talk about that.
This is college.
kidding.
This was college.
No, I know. I know. It was college. I was technically
Everyone's
a student.
of a consenting age. It's
Yes.
If
but
you want
it's-
us to take it down, Keita, we'll take it down.
No, you know what's... Here's the thing. I really wish guys could talk about this openly and not be afraid of, like...
Being canceled?
Well, I'm not afraid of being canceled per se, because it's like...
Well, there's no such thing.
I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
I don't.
You're only gonna
know,
get
but
rich and famous
at this
from being
point,
canceled.
It's like I don't. I mean, it's almost like I'd probably gain
Cancel
followers
me,
with.
please.
It's just an interesting time that we're living in as comics. But I think, and what I came in here so hot about, so sorry, I didn't even introduce the fucking show.
We had that cat conversation.
Yeah, welcome to Not
which
Today,
was
guys.
So interesting.
We're only 10 minutes in. What? That was interesting.
It was interesting. That's why I started talking about
educated
it.
people about pet insurance.
And how they're minimalists.
I was trying to help people with the pet insurance conversation. But anyways, back to that.
Everything on car warranties? Because that's still getting comments. People are still commenting on that clip about car warranties.
Oh,
Fucking insane.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
But that's the whole thing. Is like back to what Keita was saying. I'm sorry that clip is bringing any heat your way.
No,
I thought it was a funny clip.
Oh, it's really hilarious, but it's also like, and to be honest with you, I embrace the discomfort of it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's like, nah, this is kind of what I was asking for, is to have an opportunity. Because one thing I'd like to respond to with that clip is like, and this is something I actually texted I texted Lily. Lily and I have been going back. Of course, she hasn't been on a show, hasn't met me, and she sees this this clip, and I'm like, trust me, everything's good.
It was middle school. It's not a big deal.
So anyway, but the one thing I told her, which is true, is that this is what's so interesting about the Me Too movement.
Okay.
So because all of this with me, the teaching and the grad school, that was all well before Me Too.
Obviously.
And
No offense, Keita. No one's like, he's a young, strapping lad.
Jesus Christ! Wow, that cut deep.
We're all
So-
middle-aged or over at this point.
I mean, Eddie,
I mean, my birthday was last week, so
I walked.
Happy birthday. Mine was
thanks.
Yeah, I love that you guys said
Happy birthday to
birthday
you.
twins.
So what I was about to say is it didn't. Okay, I didn't. I mean, I pursue women, right? I am kind of an alpha in a lot of ways when it comes. I know you don't believe this, but I am, but I've never coerced a date, or I've never been in a scenario where I have power in a situation.
You never
And
exploit your
use
power
that to like
get.
leverage. No. Now, and in my case, I do remember back in the day being like, yeah, you don't do that. And I'd never be I'm not interested in that power dynamic thing at all. I've always just been girl crazy, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking at the time, because I kept getting seduced by people, students, and like I said in the last episode, there was only one student that it went over the line with, and it was a seduced. I got seduced by, and I remember thinking at the time,
Consenting
Of
age.
age.
totally
Of
of
age.
age.
These aren't high schoolers.
These aren't high
we
school
want
kids.
these are college students.
Yes.
No, and I
These are
remember,
adults.
I remember very clearly at the time thinking to myself, well, I'm being seduced, so that's not that. In my mind, it was like, I'm being seduced, so that cancels out this potential problem, power dynamic, because I'm not like.
She's pursuing me, so there's no.
Yeah, so I was like, there's what's the big deal? You know what I mean? Because I wasn't using my position over it. But now looking back, I just want to let me complete this thought. Post 9/11, social 9/11, post Me Too. Like right now,
Towers fell, but they were not made out of brick.
Super clear about that though. Let me just get this in before we left. Like today, if I was in that position today, I would love to think that it would be like a no-go. Like I'd be like, absolutely not.
Keita,
Shut
I
that
know
down.
you, and it would be a no-go.
It would be partially because it wouldn't happen now because I'm old and But even if it did happen, I would say
Don't
no.
yuck somebody's yum. You don't know what people are into.
you're
Yeah, right.
But
Plenty of girls like
Old
plenty.
guys.
I know plenty of young women, and I have worked with younger women that I find to be incredibly predatorial towards older men, but for different
Send 'em my
reasons.
way.
Where
I'm
they're
single.
Keita, you're not helping your cause.
I know. No,
But I know you're joking. But I'm just
I'm joking.
saying,
sort of.
like for those type of situations, I'm like. But they're predatorial for like different reasons, where it's like the money, the power, the elevated status. What can I get from this person? And I think we have to stop looking at people as like transactional, figures, which I think, look, being in this industry does not fucking help. You know what I mean?
No.
But I don't look at people as what can I get from this individual? Like, that's just not who I am. It's not how I'm wired.
The last thing I'll say about this, and this is proof that, yes, I would not do that today, because I explicitly don't date women in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it. I'm that way because I produce shows.
Well, I
If
think
I
that's
didn't
a good
produce
idea because
shows-
most of us are mentally unwell.
Well, no, that's not why I don't do it. But
It's like,
no,
I like
you know what I mean?
mentally
Like,
unwell.
I would
Keita's
never.
like, that's my type.
it's my demographic.
I would never want to book a woman on a show of mine and have her thinking in the back of her head,
I didn't earn this.
Why is he booking me?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I know there's a bunch of scumbags that I will not name that do that kind of shit.
Oh, 1,000%.
And it's like,
and there's a reason I don't get booked on those shows because they know where they stand with me.
yeah, and I just think it's despicable because women have a hard enough time in this weird energy comedy scene to begin with. It's like I don't want to contribute to that.
But I just want to make sure that it doesn't get genderized where it's like it's men versus women and things like that. I think it's just don't be a shitty person. You know what I mean? Like I think where I excel at comedy and just in our industry in general is I treat it like a job. I have always treated it like a job and a career. Even when I wasn't making money off of it, I always treated it like this is my job. I go to work. These are my coworkers. I think the minute you start playing it like it's a high school, like the minute someone starts acting towards me like some stuff I experienced in high school, you're gonna meet my business side. And my business side is fuck around and find out. Truly. I'm like, I don't let people take advantage of me. I've been through too much in the workspace. And as somebody who's like neurodivergent, I'm kind of the canary in the coal mine for when something's not right. I'll tell people when the vibe is off, when someone's doing something that is not on the level, and I have no problem confronting people about it. Does it make me enemies sometimes? Of course, because they just don't want to hear it. But like, I do think that that's one of the reasons why I don't get messed with in comedy. I'm relatively respected, and it's because like it's the way I carry myself.
I think you're the bat in the coal mine.
The bat in the coal mine.
Yeah,
Why
much more aggressive and more powerful.
See, I don't think I'm
Alpha.
aggressive, but I did get told that. I got told that by my therapist this week. He goes, "You know what you are, Jen?" He goes, "You're a quiet alpha." He's like, "You're chill, you're kind of understated." He goes, "But the minute someone steps over a line, he's like, there's a part of your personality that runs forward with a switchblade." And it's like, I will
cut this fucker.
I will cut you. Exactly. And I go, because I've never been able to explain that part of my personality that's like, that defends me.
Yeah.
Like my fighter.
Yeah.
So well. Because like, she's on a leash. I never let her out.
Yeah.
I usually try to keep my stuff together. But at a certain point, when you push me past a certain level,
Yeah.
you're going to meet it and you're not going to like it. But you deserved it. And people are always surprised, especially if it's someone that knows that they've been benefiting from me being nice and me being understanding and empathetic. They're always surprised when they meet that side of me.
You just have your limits, and someone crosses that or pushes that limit too far, you push back.
Eddie, have you ever exploded on somebody? Have you ever, I know you're not confrontational. Case in point, how we hid from my ex-mother-in-law. You're not confrontational.
We all did. We all did.
I don't remember what episode number that was.
We all did.
But you guys should go back and listen.
We all hit. I rarely find myself in a situation where I am forced to be confrontational.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't. I rarely find myself. I don't know if it's something in the subconscious where I avoid these situations, or I rarely find myself in a situation where I have to be aggressive or confrontational.
You're not hanging around comedy enough.
Well, that's kind of a choice.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the scene. I have a
don't
lot
either.
of friends in the scene, and when I go out, I see a lot of people I haven't. I went to your show last night, and I saw 3 comics I hadn't seen in forever. We were hanging out, having a good time talking. And it was nice, but to be in that every night,
it's exhausting. And I think at a certain point, you're I don't want to hang out.
I don't want to
hang
hang
out. This is a job.
I just want to do stage time. I want to do my set. And I want to leave.
Do you want to go to your job and just hang out?
No, I don't. And I don't. There's such a.
If you worked anywhere else, that'd be such a crazy thing to say to somebody. Yeah. Come into the office and hang out.
It's the same as like happy hour. It's like, let's go hang out. But happy hour is the job.
Is it?
In comedy.
I guess.
That's my biggest mistakes I made younger in my career is I didn't hang out.
You didn't hang out?
No. I would do my set and I would go home.
You didn't go to happy hour?
No, I didn't go to happy hour because I didn't want to. I mean, I made a lot of friends, but I never hung out.
But that does make a lot of sense. I don't feel like I've ever seen you like, you know what? I take that back. Kita, there was one time that I remember seeing Eddie kind of perk up a little bit. And it was when I was walking in my car.
And you had action figures?
No. The fuck? I was walking in my car.
I want that.
I was walking in my car and I got stopped by some dudes.
That was the same night we hid.
In a dark, Tale of Two Eddies that night. Walking in my car, it was dark, right? Walking down an alley, kind of a weird street, not well lit. And I get stopped by some dudes. And they're like, Jen, take pictures with us. Do this and this. And they're getting closer to me, etc. And I hear, hey, Jen.
Yeah.
And I turn around and it's Eddie and Colton. And I have never been so excited to see a 6-foot-tall high schooler next to his also 6-foot-tall dad, where I was like, okay, the playing field just got leveled. We might be able to
My
take
team just
these.
Showed up.
Exactly.
Wait,
know?
So you were feeling like endangered by these people?
Yeah, dude.
So this wasn't...
It was a little weird.
It was a weird interaction.
I came around the corner because we were just walking in my car, and I was like, I saw Jen like just sort of like standing. I was like, this looks weird.
Yeah, that was a weird interaction. I'm like, we already took pictures inside.
But like,
Why
I
do
know,
need
like,
more
I'm not
pictures in a dark alley with no lighting.
I'm not confrontational because I'm afraid. Like I know, when it comes to sizes, I'm a decent sized guy. I'm almost 6'1", 220 pounds. I can look imposing if I need to. So I don't avoid confrontation because I'm afraid. I just don't. It's not part of my personality.
Do you think have you always been a big person?
Yeah, usually.
Like tall?
Yeah.
Do you think that's helped you not have to fight people?
I think a lot of it does. I think, and then this general bitch face I usually have. This fucking dark, deep brow.
Do you think Colton gets less heat because he's big?
He's a big kid.
Yeah.
When
Big,
you
strong
ate
kid.
TV dinners when you were a kid, did you get the Hungry Man one?
I didn't eat Hungry Man. I don't know where this question's going. I didn't eat Hungry Man dinners until college.
He's asking if you got kids' TV dinners with like the Dino Nuggets, or if you got man dinners.
Did you get the Salisbury steak
hold on.
with the mashed
That's where I
potatoes?
think that thought bridge was.
There were no Dino Nuggets when we
It's
were
not even A to
kids.
C. It's like
Are
A to
you
D.
kidding?
When
or
did
A to
Dino
Z.
Nuggets get invented?
Dino
like in
Nuggets?
the 80s?
I didn't have Dino Nuggets when I was a kid.
No, it's like 90s.
Yeah, it was like 90s
I mean,
or
Jesus,
2000s. It's a millennial snack.
The TV dinners that we ate were like prison dinners.
So, yeah.
So Eddie, answer this very valuable question that Keita
Oh my
just
gosh, that's going to be a
out
clip
there.
in
I ate Hungry Man.
Hungry Man.
But yeah, I think being a bigger guy has stopped me from having to be aggressive in certain situations. And just having this general, like, get away from me face.
You guys were right. Dino Nuggets, 1991.
Yeah.
Is that when you were eating
They
them?
really popped off in popularity after the release of Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. And Barney. Don't forget Barney, the purple dinosaur.
Barney. No.
Did you like Barney?
No, I missed the Barney generation. Thank God. It's so funny. I do have a really weird Jurassic Park memory, though. I remember for Jurassic Park, specifically 2, like Lost World.
Yeah. Oof.
I went to it with like a group of kids, and like one of them was a boy I had a crush on. And I was like, oh my God, is this a date? But like we were
Is this a group date? It's like an orgy date?
we were kids. Stop it, you two. You guys are both trying to get canceled.
Please cancel me. Fucking please cancel me. I need the money.
That's your
Please
business
fucking cancel me.
Speaking of dates, I went to see Empire Strikes Back with my grandmother. and it was so fucking funny because my grandma was this like 5 foot tall Italian lady, and she took me to see E.T. as well, and in the theater when it first came out, and just the idea of my grandmother sitting through fucking Star Wars is so funny. It was a great film. You should see it.
I love that story, Kita.
Apparently not. Dead air.
My mom took me to see Star Wars when I was a kid. And
Did she really?
I liked it so much. I was like, this is when you could stay in a movie theater.
You're like,
and just,
this is going to be my whole personality for the next 40
pretty much.
years.
This is who I am. I found me at 4 years old.
Did you go to, because my parents took me to episode 1 or episode 3 or 4, whatever. And that scared the living shit out of me.
Chewbacca scared me, and the cantina scene scared me. I was terrified of Chewbacca.
I was scared of the cantina one.
I remember vividly hiding behind the seat in front of me when the cantina scene, and every time Chewbacca was on screen, I would get behind the... Chewbacca frightened me.
Not Chewbacca.
I was like...
What scared me was remember when Luke's aunt and uncle get burned to death?
To a crisp.
Like, that... I had nightmares about that for like a year or two. Because I was like, I don't know, 5 when my parents took me to see that.
I saw the
When it was in the
re-release.
theater.
I didn't see the
shouldn't have
original
been
release in
watching it
77.
that young.
I saw the re-release in 79. That's when I saw it. And I remember watching it,
I
loving
think it was 77 when my
It's so
parents
funny
took
that
me.
we have these like childhood memories that are like...
They're born, like core memories.
Yeah,
They're
but
burned
like
into
where
you.
you have irrational fears based on some shit you saw in a movie.
Yeah.
You know what my two are? Vividly.
No, tell us.
It's the beginning scene of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, where they cut off the guy's hand.
Yeah.
That's one of them. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God. And then the other one, Eddie, you're gonna die. It's the heart grab scene.
Oh, from Temple of Doom?
Yep.
Kali Ma?
Yep, Kali Ma. They let me watch that in daycare.
That movie caused the
In
PG-13 rating.
daycare.
That's a little ridiculous. Because it was a PG movie.
Yeah.
People didn't know. And that scene alone caused the PG-13 rating.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's what it
That
was.
scene caused PG-13.
But I feel like those are way more rational than Chewbacca
Well, I
scared
had this
me.
irrational fear of swimming pools because I still swim, but it was either Magnum PI or Simon and Simon episode from like the mid 80s. And it started off with a woman was swimming in a pool and you see her legs kicking, right? And you see this hand come up from under the pool and pull her down and handcuff her ankle to the grate. So she's like handcuffed to the grate at the bottom of the pool and she drowns in the pool. What the fuck? So I just had this irrational fear every time I'm swimming. There's someone in the pool that's going to handcuff my foot to the bottom of the pool.
I just thought of one more, and I think it was, I can't remember the exact James Bond movie, but it's the scene where he almost gets burned alive in the coffin, where he almost gets cremated.
Is that Scrooged?
Alive. Huh?
Scrooged?
No, it's a James Bond movie.
I'm trying to think which one that is. I don't remember which
I
one.
thought it was Goldfinger, but I could be wrong. But yeah, that was one of those ones where I was like, oh, new irrational fear unlocked.
Well, yeah, but you know how many times you're going to be in a coffin that you're going to be remembering? Like never.
You don't
you
know.
go in pools all the time.
You don't know.
You go in pools all the time.
That's another fear of mine where I'm like, what if I'm not dead? What if I'm not dead and they put me in a box and I'm like, hello?
Dude, there was that one, I think it was Amazing Stories. This old Steven Spielberg show called Amazing Stories. And it was one where a guy, he got bit by some neurotoxin in the jungle and he was still alive, but everything read as him being dead. And like so they found him and they took him and they did like the autopsy on him, like while he was alive. But he was like layers like, I'm not dead. And he could not move. Fucking freak.
So my family has like a kind of a story like that where my great uncle, they thought he was dead multiple times and they had to keep wheeling him back out of the morgue because they were like, we can't operate on, like we can't do an autopsy on this man.
He's
He
still
has
alive?
a pulse. Yeah. Wow. But like, it felt, after the third call, it felt like Monty Python. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm not quite dead yet.
Not dead.
I might be better.
I'm getting better.
Flesh wound.
Exactly.
Wow.
Oh, God.
I watched this isn't a funny story, but it's a grad school story that doesn't involve sex.
Thank God, Kita. You really gotta.
No, when I was in grad school, I got my MFA and I was like in this mode of like trying to figure out where the origins of my art, my creativity and art slant was. And I remembered when I was like, I think I was 7 or 8 years old, there was there would be these late night movies, USA Today or USA Up All Night movie, whatever. And they were playing Elephant Man,
Okay.
the film with Anthony Hopkins. And I remember it was like 3 or 4. I would get up in the middle of the night and get like an ice cream out of the thing and sit down and watch TV. And I was so deeply moved by that film. Like it literally, like I was bawling for that character. And I really do think that film set my brain for my sense of justice in the world.
Yeah.
Goes right back to that film. Not all there's other influences, but it wasn't until grad school and I was thinking about the origins of my worldview that all of a sudden I had forgotten about that. I cried like my eyes out by myself, and I must have been like 7 or 8 because it was like 1979 or 80 or when that happened to me. So I was like 8 maybe.
Do you remember the movie that made you an artist? Or then you were like, oh, I want to do something like that.
See, I grew up on blockbusters, so it was weird. Like I've always been attracted to the Star Wars, the franchise movies, the Spielberg movies, the Lucas movies. I'm trying to think artistically, I fell in love with the art of filmmaking and comedy in college when I saw I took a class in film because I majored in film. We studied the silent era, and I saw Charlie Chaplin's The Immigrant.
Okay.
And watching that, I was like, oh. You can tell a powerful story and make people laugh at the same time.
Yeah.
You can use comedy as a carrier of an important message. And I was like, I was probably, I think a sophomore, junior in college. I was like, because up to that point, it was just all like Star Wars. And like, I didn't realize, I knew filmmaking was an art form and you could have messages, but I didn't know comedy was such a powerful driver of a message.
You didn't know that you could mix the two.
Right. To me, comedy was always just like watching Robin Williams be goofy, or like it was just comedy was comedy. It was like a Naked Gun movie or Airplane, right? Like it was just funny. I didn't realize, there's messages in comedy.
There's messages in comedy, and then there's the old saying, like comedy heals. But I did see a really funny clip this week of, I forget who the comic was. I think it was Rosebud Baker, where she goes, yeah, comedy heals, but like in Patch Adams, like those kids also got chemo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Science heals. Science heals. Comedy
science
helps.
heals. Comedy just makes the journey.
Comedy is the sugar that makes the medicine go down.
Yes,
But
exactly.
but it's like watching that Immigrant film of Chaplin. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Like it totally clicked in my head of like, oh, you can make people laugh and think at the same time. And so that kind of changed my perspective on comedy.
I don't remember when the comedy thing took over, but I do remember, like, for me, the movies were Annie. Like, I was young when I was like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. It was Annie and Wizard of Oz, where I was like, oh, it's about, like, the journey. You know what I mean? And, like, just this idea that these girls, like, made it on their own. Yeah. With the help of random strangers along the way.
Right.
And old rich men.
A furry and a man in a metal outfit.
How much does it suck that kids don't get to experience the Wizard of Oz the way we did growing up?
They're actually going to play it at the Sphere. Did you know that? That would be dope.
Yeah, sure. It's $500 a ticket.
They're using AI to fill out because it's going to look like you're in the movie. So they're using AI to fill out what would be around you.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
That's very cool. But like when we were kids, it was like it only came on once a year.
Yeah.
And like for 2 weeks, you'd be talking about it in school, like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and you could only watch it on TV. You
And
couldn't
then, and then Keita was like, you can sync it with Dark Side of the Moon.
And trip your balls off. But that's back when, as a country, we had that collective experience where we all watched something and we could all talk about it. Now everything is a la carte and streaming, and you like your show, I like my show. Back then, we had 3 networks and we all watched whatever was on, and we all could, like V. We all fucking talked about V.
Yeah. You know where it's like that
V?
too? Nowadays, North Korea.
V?
Yeah.
What's V?
Visitors? It was a mini-series on TV about aliens that came down that were like human skin, but they were like lizard people underneath. It's like a huge mini-series.
You guys are aging yourselves.
But they brought it
This
back.
must be what my
Hillary Clinton was the lead actress.
This was
of
me.
the
This
Lizards.
must be what my kids feel like when I try to talk to them about anything in the 80s and 90s. They're like, "What's that?"
V was huge.
You know what scared the shit out of me? Movie.
What?
Well, I went and saw the Dark Crystal in the theater. Holy shit, was that scary?
I don't know that.
That's you don't remember the Dark Crystal?
No.
Jim Henson movie? Oh
Yeah.
my god.
You were
it's
scared
such
of
a great-
puppets?
No, if you saw this, literally, it even scares me today. Like the bird creatures were
Yeah.
the Skeksis or whatever they
Yeah.
were called.
You were
That
scared.
was such a
of
great
puppets.
film. No, you'd be scared today watching it. It's a really, really. It's not happy Muppet puppets.
No.
it's like
It's not the Muppets.
really dark.
It's like
beautiful.
tripping your balls off on melatonin
Yeah.
and cold medicine
No, it's a-
at the
it's a
foot of your bed,
gorgeous-
sleep demon stuff.
It's a gorgeous film, but it's really dark looking. It's like amazing that it's
Yeah.
a kids film.
Yeah. Well, they did that stuff in the. Was that not the? Was not Labyrinth, but what was the other one where it was Tom? I think it was it young Tom Cruise and who played the devil? It was what's his face?
Tom Cruise.
It wasn't Tom Cruise. Who was it?
I
forget what the fuck it was.
but I do remember
Goddamn.
Labyrinth is
No
one that
memory
comes
anymore.
up where I'm like, oh, that's too creepy for kids.
Labyrinth was a little creepy, and then fucking was it the one where the horse died in the tar pit?
Oh,
Oh,
never
yeah,
ending
Never
story.
Ending
Never ending
Story.
story. I mean,
I
that
saw
fucking
that in the
that
theater.
scars
Yeah.
every kid, right? And Optimus Prime died. We've been through all that. Like
We've
went
been through the
the
fire.
80s put you through it.
Yeah.
Now it's
Goonies, God.
It's so funny because you can go online and it's like only movies with only happy stuff in them with no dark or scary parts. Like there's actually pages dedicated to
Yeah.
it of like parents like not wanting to expose their kid, which I get, but like also
No, I never.
Doesn't it
I
build
was
some
never,
character?
I was never of that school. I showed Colton like, this is it. You don't just get a happy movie.
what
all
was the
time.
first like movie with a sad part that you remember him watching and he was like, "Why'd you do this?"
Trying to think.
I love that you're smiling thinking about it because you were
Well, there's a
probably
couple
like, "This
times
is a
where
dick move."
There's a couple times. Like I know, like one of the first movies he saw in the theater was Force Awakens, when Han Solo gets killed.
Oh no!
Right, so
Did he already know Star Wars at the time?
Yeah, he was big into Star Wars. He loved Star
Okay,
Wars.
so he knew this was a big
loved Star Wars.
moment.
Huge. I mean, he was in first grade. He was 6 years old. He fell in love with Star Wars like 2 years earlier. He was all Star Wars up to that
I
point.
can't believe it's been that long.
I know, right?
Jesus.
He sat on my lap the whole movie in Force Awakens. Sat on my lap because
But I was just asking. He knew Han Solo,
yeah,
and he knew Han Solo was a good guy.
Yeah.
and like he knew what the impact.
he
of
dressed
that
up as
was.
Luke Skywalker that Halloween for.
But he knew what the impact of that was,
Yeah.
and like it was a big deal.
Yeah, he got it, and he sat there, and he got like.
and he was like, "Why did he
the
do that?"
quiver lip and stuff. And I was like, it's just like. It's
You're
just,
like, no, he wanted to die in this movie, Colton,
he wanted
because
to
he
die in
didn't
Empire
want to
Strikes
do
Back,
the other ones.
but Lucas wouldn't let him because Lucas wanted to sell action figures.
It's like, no, trust me.
Trust me.
If you've ever seen an
wanted.
interview with Harrison Ford, he wanted to go out like this.
But then I had to because he saw the original Star Wars where Obi-Wan Kenobi dies, and so he's like, it's the teacher has to die, and Han Solo was raised teacher in this film, so the hero's journey, the teacher has to die, so the student can move forward, and that's so you. I always broke it down to him story wise why certain things are important in telling a story to move the story forward. So
For sure.
so and then that clicks in his head, so he understands, and he's got a great. He understands conceptually how movies are made and stories are told. Even to this day, he can break down a film like watching, like he can tell you why this happened and why that happened and why this moves Act 1 into Act 2 and Act 2 into Act 3. Like he understands all that stuff because even when he was 5-6 years old, and I made him watch these movies that were probably more adult than he should have been watching, or older for him, more mature for him at his age. I would explain to him why things were happening in these stories, not to sort of take the is this really happening in real life sort of thing away. Like, did Han Solo really die? I'm like, well, Han Solo's a character. This character has to die in this situation here, so these other characters can move forward, and so that helps the kid process it and move forward with it.
Like this is all make believe.
It's all make believe, and it's storytelling, and this is how you tell stories and this is how you make interesting stories. If you have a story where everything is happy, that's not an interesting story.
No,
that's just brain
I'm gonna
candy.
keep telling myself I'm gonna tell myself that about my life.
Right.
If everything was happy, Jen,
right,
there'd be no payoff.
We're in the second act right now. We're either at the end or the second act. I can't tell.
I feel no. I think it's
Second act is the
we're in
darkest.
I think we're in the second movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Empire Strikes Back is the second act of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
So it's the darkest.
We're in the second act.
Yeah, we're in the
for
second
sure.
act. Yeah.
But it's still the important
I
part.
hope there's a good third act.
It's still the important
Because
part.
the second act sucks.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
It's all cyclical, dude. I actually read a bunch of books about this stuff.
Oh, I know.
About like the turnings and like looking at like the patterns in society.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be
that.
alive during the revolution.
You're like, I really hoped this would skip my generation.
I was really hoping I could skip the revolution part.
Viva la resistance.
Apparently.
I think it's time,
Is
Eddie.
it time?
It
Yeah,
is.
here we go.
Keita, are you ready?
Florida Man Friday.
Guess so.
Sorry, do you need to warm up? Do you need to stretch?
I'm explaining the post.
Oh, Jesus
no.
Christ.
Oh, no.
Keita, I will take it down.
No, don't. Leave it up. It's good. Hey, look, conversation is great. It's good to have conversation. I had a post last week. Did you see the Paul Costable post on my Instagram?
No.
So we have a show with Kevin Nealon next week, a big, very cool variety act show.
Yeah.
And we made the post. Well, mainly Paul made the poster and using AI. Holy shit! Did we get bombed by all
For the
these
AI
like
stuff?
anti-AI? I mean, when I tell you we got, I mean, there's kids out there that think we should kill ourselves for as punishment for using AI to make a fucking poster for a
Right.
show in a 100-seat venue. Like they're like, you're taking, this is someone's career. You're taking jobs away. I'm like, first of all, it's my job.
Yeah.
It's my show
taking
and in
my
my
own job
job.
away.
I'm like, yeah,
I
you're
would have
taking my
created
job
this.
away.
I'm just saving myself time.
Yeah, and it.
So this post
Anyway.
doesn't really have that many comments on it, Keita. So are people coming at you in your DMs?
No, it's the first post. You're looking at probably the latest post.
What's the first post?
It's the one where Charlotte McKinney's not on it.
Oh.
Oh my God, it was crazy. And I made the mistake of like going in there and answering and
No.
like trying to
Don't feed the
holy cow.
trolls.
And what was that? I mean, they're like, oh yeah, look, this 45-year-old old man can't, and I was like, damn, I'm 52. That's great.
That's great. Thank you. 45.
No, but it was interesting. What I'll tell you this, the takeaway, what was so sad about it to me is that underneath the surface of this,
Yeah.
of the ridiculousness of the posts, there was a real desperate, hopeless kind of undertow to this with the kids that were, and I'm assuming not the bots that were responding to us, but the real, and that really hit my heart. I was like, these kids are really, when you're in your early 20s now or teens,
Yeah.
it's like, God damn, what world are they inheriting right now?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean?
Frightening.
It's like,
But I think we have to, again, talking about patterns and cyclical stuff, like, I'm not romanticizing my 20s. We were going through shit back then, too. We were going through the 2008 housing crisis and, like, the dot-com crash.
I was in my
you know
30s,
what I mean?
but like the 90s when I was in my 20s, that was fucking pretty easy.
yeah, I feel like
Everybody was
You don't need
making
to brag.
money.
You don't need to brag,
The
Eddie.
90s were pretty fucking. All we cared about was a blowjob in the White House.
Jesus
like that
Christ.
was the height of scandal.
no, and then
was
the
a fucking
80s
consensual blowjob in the White House.
and like Jello Biafra and like the fucking Giger Christ painting on the Dead Kennedys album.
Yeah.
That was like such a huge controversy, like the parental shit on
The old Poison "Lick It Up" album cover.
yeah.
That
Lick
was
it
big.
up.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, really,
No
it's
wonder
like,
you guys turned
I don't
out this way.
remember, I remember briefly starting in the early 90s thinking about climate change and being like, this is going to be a problem maybe in my lifetime.
Maybe,
but
100 years out, like not.
Yeah,
I'm
and
gonna be an
not
old man when
nearly-
we have to deal with this shit.
yeah, and it the Cold War, Russia dropped the,
Right.
and I remember it just was the kind of fears that right now you're bombarded 24/7 with
Yeah.
existential bullshit.
Yeah.
Climate, economy, country. I mean, it's just like, I really feel for younger people. I don't have a solution, but
No.
it really hurt. Like I was because I'm trying to be funny. I'm trying to be helpful and like this and that. Nothing was
I think
working.
we just have to remember that we've been here before.
But we haven't been here before.
I don't know if we've
We
been
have.
to this place.
I don't think
this
so.
place feels different.
We
And not in
have.
my lifetime.
We
Maybe
have,
the 60s.
not necessarily here. It's
The civil rights movement.
It's
maybe.
happened somewhere else, and
Oh, yeah.
we need to learn from it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
It's our
I
first
agree with
time
that.
It's our first
experiencing
time.
it.
But I don't
And
think
so-
this country has experienced anything like this since at least the civil rights movement.
No.
This sort of division and like on the brink of like, are we gonna fucking fight each other?
Yeah,
Like,
but you know
for
what?
real?
I believe in. I still believe in like the good side winning out. Maybe I've seen too many Star Wars
You
movies.
might have.
Whatever.
you
That's what
might
I'm
have.
hanging on to. Anyways, Florida Man Friday.
Here we go.
We're gonna leave on a high note, possibly like a really high note.
I read Jen Sturger's 3 Florida Man headlines, 2 real, 1 fake. She tells me what is the fake Florida Man headline.
Keita's
and
playing
Keita
too.
is playing too. Here we go. Florida man tries to trade live alligator for beer. Florida man tells police he's Jason Bourne during arrest. Florida man blocks neighborhood sidewalk, demands joggers pay toll. One of those is fake or has not happened yet.
I feel like the third one's fake.
Block sidewalk, demands
Yeah.
joggers pay
Damn
toll.
it, that's the one I'm picking too. I want to.
You can both pick the same one.
Well, but that's not fun because we can't win against each other. I say 3. Yeah, that's just too boring for Florida.
You both say 3. You're right. That's the fake
Yeah.
one. I
Somebody traded an alligator
tried
for a beer.
to trade a
Yeah,
live alligator
100%.
for beer.
Well, I knew that was the real one.
That was no question there.
I knew that was the real one. I knew that was
She's
real.
like, yeah, it was
'Cause
my uncle.
They sell them at gas stations, dude.
Baby
They sell
alligators.
They sell
alligators?
baby alligators at gas stations.
Florida.
Florida, am I right? Eddie, where can people find you?
At Eddie Pence on all the socials or eddiepence.com. I'm 300 hours away from monetizing my YouTube page. We're getting there.
We're getting there.
So keep watching.
Let's do it. It's cumulative. So if you don't do it fast enough,
do it.
It rolls off.
It does roll off. And
So
then
we need your help, guys.
also sign up for my beacon so I can go someplace and tell jokes.
Please, at Jennifer Sturger on all the socials, guys. Again, beacons, please sign up. Put in your zip code. It helps Eddie and I figure out where we can take this show, where we can take our stand-up, etc. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Not Today.
Peace.